This week, we all know how important protein is, right? I've got the perfect place for 3 power-packed proteins from plants that might actually surprise you. And then Ashton Kutcher talked about his experience with a disease called vasculitis. What is vasculitis? I'm going to break that all down for you right here. And then stick around for our COVID-19 monkeypox bulletin. There are some updates that you definitely want to know about. I put some timestamps below so that you can skip to what piques your interest. If you can't use it, pass it on to somebody who can. Let's get started.
The 5-Minute Checkup with Dr. Dave.
Everybody's heard or read about how essential protein, dietary protein, is for being a healthier you. It's important for us to understand that the source of the protein matters. It matters a lot. Every protein is not the same, and it's mainly what I tell my patients because of the company that it keeps. For example, the protein in a steak or a chicken breast is not the same as the protein in a mushroom or a pinto bean. Let's dispel the myth for a second. You do not have to eat animal meat in order to get protein. Let me give you an example. Have you ever seen a prize-winning horse, like a Kentucky Derby horse? Of course you have. Have you seen the hindquarters on that horse? The hindquarters, that's all protein. That's nothing but meat. The horse does not have a protein deficiency. Forget about what it looks like. What about the performance of this beast? That's why we use the words healthy as a horse. Let me ask you a question. What does a horse eat? Absolutely. They eat hay, oats, and sometimes they get fancy and they get, marigold petals or some kind of flower or something, okay? The verdict's been in for a very long time. High quality protein comes from plants. That's it. That's the post. That's the message. I'm going to give you 3 examples of sources of protein from plants that actually might surprise you. The first one is broccoli. And what we're going to do is we're going to compare it to a nice thick slice of chicken breast, right? That has about 25 grams of protein. That's a lot. A bunch of broccoli, believe it or not, has 17 grams of protein in it. Number 2, lentils. We see lentils all the time now. They're in salads and all of this kind of thing. Lentils, a cup of cooked lentils, just a cup, has 18 grams of protein. It's pretty good. Here's the one that will surprise you. Peanuts. A cup of peanuts, just 1 cup of peanuts has 38 grams of protein compared to 25 grams of protein in a chicken breast. There you have it. You don't have to eat meat to get healthy protein. This past week, the actor Ashton Kutcher revealed that he had a very serious complication from a condition called vasculitis, where he lost his sight and he lost his hearing. And so, a lot of people are asking, what is vasculitis? And can I get that? itis on the end, itis, means inflammation of. So think appendicitis, the appendix is inflamed. Sinusitis, right? Myocarditis, we've been hearing about that. So vasculitis is inflammation of a blood vessel. I want you to know that this is not one condition. And go ask any first-year medical student right now how many different vasculitides there really are. That's how we say it, because we can't just say stuff normal. But there are a bunch of vasculitides, and there are a bunch of different causes. Now, in Kutcher's case, we don't know what kind of vasculitis he had, but he did tell us how severe it was to the point where he didn't know if he was going to make it, right? His eyesight was affected, his hearing is affected, and his walking. And there's no way for me to know, right? But there is one vasculitis that is rare that can cause those symptoms called Cogan, C-O-G-A-N syndrome, Cogan syndrome. Sometimes the diagnosis is not apparent and the doctor ends up just treating with immune suppressive drugs to get the person to feel better. Now for our COVID-19 and monkeypox bulletin, I always update you on all of these. There's some news about CDC guidelines. They have updated the quarantining guidelines after exposure to COVID-19. They are saying now that instead of quarantining after you are exposed to somebody with COVID-19, that you would just wear a well-fitting, high-quality mask for 5 days, test at the 5th day, and if you're negative, wear your mask for 5 more days, and that's it. If you're positive, go through the entire protocol. And I talked about the protocol on the last episode. In monkeypox news, is a 1/5 of the dose still good enough? So the vaccine for monkeypox is being issued, but there is a shortage of supply. And so in order to meet the demand, the supply has been cut in a 1/5, if you will. The FDA has approved using an intradermal. And when we think of intradermal, I want you to be thinking of the TB test that you had. Intra, between dermal layers and between the skin layers, where the needle went right under the skin. You have a little wheel. You see the fluid sort of develop underneath the skin. That's different from subcutaneous, under the skin layer in the arm, like we've been getting with the COVID shot. And it turns out that a study from 2015, so this is really important for us to explain. This study was done well before the monkeypox outbreak. A study in 2015 showed that the intradermal versus the subcutaneous dosing of the vaccine is equally effective, that people get an immune response with both. So I want you to understand that. You are not being shortchanged. This is not some sort of sidewise way of doing it. Monkeypox numbers, let's end with those. 11,177 cases as of yesterday, and the number last week was somewhere around 7,500.